Hello and welcome to my first ever booktube video. My name is Alice, I'm a lover of all things books and I finally got round to taking the plunge and making a booktube channel. But yeah, this video I'm going to be doing today is books that I am currently reading. I thought this would be a really good start to my channel. So the first book I'm reading is a Russian classic. This is a book that I've been wanting to pick up for a while, but I was kind of waiting for the new year. I wanted to start a new year with it, and it is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. So this is a book that is set in 19th century Russia. It follows a woman called Anna Karenina who basically embarks on having an extramarital affair with a man who is obviously not her husband, who is a count, I believe. So they are both members of Russian high society in the 19th century. So my main note of this, I mean, I'm only 38 pages in so far. My main note of this is that it is like a big 19th century soap opera. I'm absolutely loving it. It's very digestible, like it's weirdly digestible. I was kind of intimidated going into this book thinking it was going to be like a bit of a Dickens situation where it's quite difficult to read, but not at all. This is translated by Louise and Aylmer Maude in 1918, and it's just really good. Like it's just it's really digestible. We haven't met Anna yet, although she has been mentioned. I think we're following her brother at the moment, and she is about to come and visit, I think, with her husband. So we will see. Obviously, I think at the moment it's quite fun and like I said, it's like a soap opera. It's kind of gossipy and scandalous, but I think it's going to get quite serious and sad. But yeah, so far I'm absolutely loving this, and I will be giving updates of it, obviously, whilst I'm reading it. And the next book I'm reading, I'm actually listening to on audiobook, but I thought I'd bring my physical copy, and that is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. So this is a very bleak story of the life of a family living in the North York Moors in the mid 1800s, I think it is, so in Victorian times. And it mainly follows Cathy and Heathcliff, the two main characters who kind of have this on again, off again, tumultuous relationship and romance. They're very messed up people. I think we could safely say they're very disturbed people. This is not a love story. Sorry, lighting. This is not a love story, definitely not. It's disturbing. I think it's more of a story of like the damage of like intergenerational like abuse. I think like the damage that emotional repression can do to a person or to a family as well, which I think is something that was pretty common in Victorian times, unfortunately. But yeah, it's definitely not a love story. I think a lot of people who hate this, it's because they go into it expecting it to be a love story, and it's not. It's about two extremely messed up individuals and basically the damage that they can do to all the people around them. And it's also like it's an intergenerational story, so it kind of follows two different generations. I reread this every year, usually in winter, but I have to say I'm not enjoying it as much as I usually do. So I think what I'll probably do is give this a rest for a few years before I start it again. But yeah, I think I'm about, I want to say like halfway through by now. And I am like, it is one of my favourite books, but I think I've read it too many times. I need to put it away and leave it for a few years, but obviously I'll finish it this year. And then my next book and my last non-fiction book is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. So this is a book following 12 different black women in the, I think they're all in the, or they're all British. I'm not 100% sure though. I'm only 3 women through. and it basically is like a relatively short chapter on each woman. Now, normally, like, I've kind of put off reading this for quite a while because normally I'm not a fan of books where, you know, you follow multiple characters or like jump from multiple timelines. I just don't like that, having that break in the story. But I'm enjoying this so far. The characters, even though you don't read much about them because there's only one chapter on each of them, I find you get enough about them to really get like a proper sense of who they are. I think they're quite well written, they're vibrant, they're certainly not likable, but I'm absolutely fine with that. They're realistic, I think, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's quite a fast-paced read, but I think it's pretty good. It is written in this weird, like, almost like a poetry, like prose style, which at first I kind of struggled with. I was like, ooh, not sure this is going to be my cup of tea, but you just get used to it and you don't even notice it after a while. This was the winner of the Booker Prize in 2019. And I think I've had this book since like 2020, 2021, and I've just been putting off picking it up. But yeah, I am on page 112 at the moment, and like I said, I've read about 3 of the women, and I am quite enjoying it. Obviously, I'll update when I finish it. And then my last 2 books that I have to talk about are non-fiction. So the first one I do have a physical copy of, and that is this rather scary looking book called Fear, an Alternative History of the World by Robert Peckham, who I believe is a historian. I got this for Christmas. I actually asked for it for Christmas from my dad, and it's basically yeah, like it says, a book about fear, and a book about how fear has kind of shaped who we are genetically and also like socially and politically speaking. There's been, I mean, I'm only on page 32, but there's been a bit of a thread throughout this of sort of how politicians use fear and political parties use fear to get people to vote for them and get people to control people. And yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. So it talks about, like, it does talk about pandemics, including the COVID pandemic. I think it's talking about dictators, wars, yeah, and basically how fear both controls us, but also I think it's also hinted at discussing how fear can sort of free us up. So yeah, like I said, I'm really enjoying it so far, but I don't think I've got to like the serious like nitty gritty of it yet. So I think actually when I'm done with this video, I'm going to pick this up. And then the last book that I'm reading, which is non-fiction, I don't actually have the physical copy to show you, but it's basically, I'm going to have to look up the name on here. It's Tenants, The People on the Front Line of Britain's Housing Emergency by Vicky Spratt. So Vicky Spratt is a housing activist, and she has written this book basically discussing it discusses the housing crisis, but more from the side of private renters and private landlords, and how the law is more on the side of the landlords. It talks a lot about section 21 evictions, which are no fault evictions. I think all 3, and each chapter has like a case study of someone that she's dealt with and helped, that it uses to sort of bring the subject matter in and start the discussion. I really like this. I think even though it's a very emotive subject matter, you know, especially like being a young person in the UK, like it's a very real part of my life. I think she, by using statistics and by using, you know, people that she's worked with, she really it's so thorough the way she goes through everything, and it's not, I don't think it's biased. I mean, I think you're always going to have a little bit of bias on the topic of the housing crisis against politicians and certain political parties, but she doesn't sort of linger on that too much. And she talks, for example, she doesn't just blame Margaret Thatcher for allowing people to buy, so you know, their own council houses, which obviously that, you know, did offset a lot of issues, but you know, that was what, 40 years ago, 35 years ago, and there's been, you know, a whole train of politicians who have come into power since then, and not one of them has really done anything to right her wrongs. So yeah, really enjoying it. It's taking me a while to get through because the chapters are very long, and it's obviously quite a harsh and depressing subject. So I'm reading it slowly, looking after my mental health, you know, not reading it when I'm like feeling too down and things like that. So yeah, that is all the books that I'm currently reading, and this is my first video. I apologise for my awkwardness. I'm really hoping, like, I feel like I've got a bit better throughout the video, so I'm hoping once I've made a few videos I will get better at talking in front of a camera. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you like this video, think of subscribing. If I've uploaded any more videos, watch some more videos, and thank you for watching.